Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Warfare, starring DeFaro Wonatai, Will Poulter, Cosmo Jarvis, Joseph Quinn, Aaron McKenzie, Brockdorf, Finn Bennett, Evan Holtzman, and Michael Gandolfini, directed by Alex Garland and Rain Mendoza, based on his memory. So, I remember going to the early access showing last night, kind of like a little over 100 people, maybe a little bit more, as that showing was so much louder than my second viewing. I went twice for this movie, and there were. But this one, the second viewing was loud too, but not as loud as the IMAX showing, I'll say at best. And what does that mean for the movie? Well, let's get into it and find out. The movie is based on a memory of Ray Mendoza, who's one of the directors of this movie, along with Alex Garland, and is played by DeFaro Wonatai. As the movie starts with a bunch of soldiers we get introduced to, like Eric, played by Will Poulter, Elliot, played by Cosmo Jarvis, Sam, played by Joseph Quinn, Kelly, played by Aaron McKenzie, Mikey, played by Alex Brockdorf, Never gonna get that name right. John, played by Finn Bennett, Brock, played by Evan Holtzman, and Lieutenant McDonald, played by Michael Gandolfini, who is the son of James Gandolfini, and others, all in Ramadi, Iraq, in the year 2006, as the soldiers are watching women work out on a video of some kind, and they get a kick out of it until they go out on a mission, and they split into two different groups, going in two different houses. And I don't always like silence in this movie unless if there's a reason for it. And this movie does have it, as they're trying to be freaking quiet and not wake up citizens of Ramadi, Iraq. And if they do, they speak quietly, and those scenes took my breath away, as this movie is fucking intense. And it tells you right off the bat in the first 10 minutes of the movie, as all of this is happening at nighttime. But next day comes, and they hide in the houses while a sniper makes a hole in the wall in one of the houses to shoot at an Iraqi villager or soldier or something, while they have a family and a couple of others hostage. Well, anyways, let's move on. And directors Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza do a fantastic job making this movie super stressful in a brilliant way. Ray and Eric wait by as they hear it friendly people, not so friendly people, walk by this building. Meanwhile, the sniper spots someone who is completely unfriendly and decides whether to shoot him or not. And he decides not to while a jet fighter flies by. Lieutenant McDonald asks Ray how it's going, as he's the new guy on the mission. And they wait for more hostility while one soldier drinks water out of a bottle and spits it out, which was amusing, and forces another soldier to drink not only water but the other soldier's spit. And they get suspicious, anyways, as they see the suspicious soldier with his white shirt and blue jeans, which is the guy the sniper kept his eye on. And I was on the edge of my seat this entire goddamn time. While the cinematography is absolutely breathtaking, as the shots look great, and I like the fact we're getting a point of view of the soldier's perspective. A villager of Iraq witnesses something suspicious of the houses while the American soldiers are at, and they call more of the Iraqi soldiers to go after the American soldiers in the house they're sitting in, and the American soldiers call dispatch, and while another jet fighter flies by, and the American soldiers know something is wrong, and Eric Lee learns from a translator soldier saying by one of the civilians that Iraqi soldiers are coming for the American soldiers, as the sniper keeps a close eye on dangerous Iraqi soldiers until he gets up and stretches his legs, and another sniper takes over and stares at Ray kind of strangely, which was kind of amusing, as sometimes, mostly in the first 30 minutes, there were some things the audience was laughing at by the American soldiers, but suddenly 4 Iraqi soldiers get out of a blue car, and the sniper almost shoots one of them, but he misses his opportunity. Well, they say weak and find 6 more Iraqi soldiers coming in to building 3, while sniper number 2 gets up and takes a leak as a sniper number 1 takes over and a grenade comes in the house. And the American soldiers are hiding in the upstairs section as they call dispatch, and this is when the movie kicks into gear with non-stop action and gunfire and grisly scenes, and suddenly this movie gets very fucking intense, and the sound effects were great both times I saw the movie for this review. The American soldiers call dispatch for backup, and Ray explains where they're at in Ramadi, while a couple of soldiers left their gear in the previous room while Ray and Eric look for them, and they call dispatch and they say they'll be there in 10 minutes, and Eric successfully finds the 2 soldiers' gear, and they wait for the right time to go outside the building from upstairs as they blow it up and go downstairs. And Eric explains the plan to a few different groups, like Ray is going with Eric, for example, as the translators go outside with Lieutenant McDonald, watching the citizens, and the acting in this is well done, as this is a well-made movie by directors Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. The soldiers have 2 minutes till backup arrives, and Frank gets a smoker outside the house so nobody can see them coming out, and dispatch can see the soldiers, and the translators and a couple of other soldiers go outside and get shot, but not dead yet, as a grenade goes off on, and that moment did make me jump both times. That was effective as a war movie, but only a nitpick with this movie is I can't tell who's who in the underneath the uniforms, except for Ray and Eric, and maybe McDonald, because that's James Gandolfini's son, as I believe one of them is Sam. I think that's the Joseph Quinn character, and the other one out there is Elliot. That's what they'll name him, as they'll say his name later in the movie. While Sam screams because he's on fire and is bleeding, as this motherfucker can't stop screaming, despite I know he's in pain. I get that. And can't hear anything but to be safe from the Iraqi soldiers. I kind of wish he would just shut the fuck up from all the screaming, as that's the nitpick number 2 at this point in the film. Sam and Elliot get inside as Elliot is more quiet than Sam, and Eric asks how long they have to wait in the building until dispatch gets to their location, as they'll find a way to get to them, and he says just fucking hurry, and the Iraqi soldiers keep causing some fucking explosions while Sam is screaming for his life, and they tie up Sam's wound while continuously fucking screaming for his life, and there are some grisly images during these scenes, while one of the civilians wants him to see what happened to Sam, but they force him to go back in the room, and eventually Sam calms down from the screaming as they put some pressure on the wound, and Sam overreacts. Another civilian is wounded that is not Sam, and we get another jet fighter flying by, as it was reminding me of the beginning of Top Gun Maverick, where Maverick flies over Ed Harris's head and causes some loud explosion noises by the same way the jet fighter did in this movie a number of times at best. Ray sees a severely damaged wound on Sam's leg and puts pressure on it for a while, and Elliot wakes up and Lieutenant McDonald grabs 2 needles for Elliot as he fucked up the first time on Elliot, and 1 more for Sam so they can heal better than how they feel from their wounds, and more soldiers come to the rescue while encountering some hostiles that are the Iraqi soldiers and get to their location, and I was thinking, what the fuck took them so motherfucking long? But I think because of the Iraqi soldiers not giving the American soldiers an easy time to get to their comrades in time, and as they see a couple of wounded soldiers, and their rescue team sends a couple of soldiers upstairs as the commander-in-chief speaks with Eric, and he says how fucked up and he is, and this is a hell of a war movie for damn sure. While it's not as good as Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan and Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, in my opinion, a couple of the rescue teams, but this is a more realistic version, but the rescue team tries to get Sam out rather too quickly, while Rigg says not that quickly and don't fuck with his wound, while a couple of soldiers get outside and shoot at a couple of Iraqi soldiers, and dispatch denies it to bring in some help until Lieutenant McDonald tells one of them to ring in some help as he's the CO, and tells dispatch to bring the fucking tanks as they'll be here in 15 minutes, and a couple of more soldiers go outside to shoot at some Iraqis soldiers, and the soldiers, American soldiers from upstairs, go inside while hiding rather quickly, and the American soldiers go outside to bring Elliot in a tank that will arrive in 3 minutes, and they turn Elliot in a couple of times, as they have 2 minutes until the tanks come in, as they put Sam on his sides a couple of times, and like they did Elliot, and once again there's another fucking jet fighter flying by, and this is going by quick, as this is a 95-minute movie, as I don't expect that from a war movie in general. 2 tanks show, but I'm okay with it. 2 tanks show up and fill them up with Elliot and Sam, while the American soldiers fight against the Iraqi soldiers, and they get the wounded soldiers in the tanks the hell out of the area, and Ray is out of there as Eric stays behind, and the rescue team soldiers cover while a couple of tanks shoots at the Iraqi soldiers and cover the civilians, and their house blows up. And Eric says how sorry he is for blowing up their house, and one more jet fighter comes by, and 2 more tanks show up and get the rescue team as well as Eric the fuck out of there, and the tank's taking off, and the civilians walk out of the room while it's smoky, and a civilian man says the soldiers are gone and to not be afraid as they're successfully gone, while the Iraqi soldiers walk outside to find the American soldiers, and before credits roll, they see this movie is for Elliot, as he's in a wheelchair, and we see images of the real-life soldiers versus the actors who played them, as some of their faces are blurred out, and we see clips from the making of the movie. And this climax worked great, as this is a very good movie. But how very good was this movie? Let's talk about it in a rating. I'll give this movie a 8.3 out of 10. The movie is very good and very fucking intense at the same time, as I cared for the soldiers from start to finish, and directors Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza do a fantastic job at making this movie super stressful in a brilliant way, and I was on the edge of my seat this entire goddamn time, while the cinematography is absolutely breathtaking, and the shots look great. And I really like the fact that we're getting a point of view of the soldiers' perspective. The sound effects were great both times I saw the movie for this review, and the acting in this is well done by the actors. And the movie is well made by the directors Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, as this movie during the quiet moments are very quiet, while the action scenes are spectacular. And there are 2 nitpicks about this movie I gave. One is I don't know who's who under the soldier uniform and helmet except for Ray and Eric, as I recognized. Oh, and I am James Gandolfini's son, and I recognized 3 of them when Sam kept going on the screaming. I thought in order to be safe from the Iraqi soldiers, he really needed to shut the fuck up. But this is a very good film. By the time credits rolled the second time, this was a hell of an edge on edge of your seat intense film that makes you care about the soldiers from start to finish, like I said. And this is a solid movie from not only director Alex Garland, but from his co-director Ray Mendoza, as this movie is based on his memory, and this is a solid recommendation for this movie, as this movie is well done, and I would watch this again along with Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan and Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk and a few others, as this is not as good as those 2 films, in my opinion, but I might watch this again in my future. So I'd like to thank you guys for returning with me to Alex Garland, because last year I did Civil War and did his other 2 films before Civil War. So yeah, this is number 4, I think, maybe 5. I forget which one it is. But I'll be back for Alex Garland when he writes 28 years later for Danny Boyle. And until we get there, to you, Ray Mendoza, and any other soldier out there, thank you for your service.